why do donuts have holes? And who was the first person to look at a piece of dough and say, let's punch a hole in the middle and fry it? Have you ever stared at a donut and thought, who came up with the idea of poking a hole in bread, frying it, and then sprinkling sugar on top? I mean, how hungry was humanity to invent something like this? You might think donuts are a modern American invention, but behind the sweet, round pastry, there's a greasy, hole-filled, and surprisingly deep history. The story starts thousands of years ago. Humans were always looking for ways to make bread more delicious. And one of the easiest ways? Drop the dough in hot oil. From ancient Rome to Greece to India, people were deep-frying bits of dough and sometimes topping them with honey or sugar. But the thing we now call the donut hadn't been born yet until the year was 1847. A 16-year-old American boy named Hanson Gregory was working on a sailing ship. For breakfast, they were served a kind of fried sweet bread, something like a stuffed pastry. But there was a problem. The center was always undercooked, sticky, gooey, like biting into a warm swamp. One day, Hanson got fed up. He punched a hole in the center with his finger and said, if there's no center, it all cooks evenly. And he was right. That day, not just a tastier bread was born, but the very first donut with a hole. But before Hanson, what were the Dutch eating? Truth is, Hanson wasn't the only hero in this story. About 200 years earlier, Dutch settlers had a pastry called oliekoek, or oily cake. It looked like a donut, round, sweet, fried, but it had no hole. When the Dutch moved to New York, back then called New Amsterdam, they brought this dessert with them. But the center still had one big problem. It didn't cook through. Hanson didn't invent the dessert. He just poked a hole in the middle. And that small act changed everything. The story of the donut didn't end in the kitchen. During World War I, women volunteers from the Salvation Army made donuts for soldiers on the front lines. In tents, in trenches, even in their helmets. For those soldiers, donuts became a taste of home. A warm bite of comfort in the middle of smoke and war. In the 1920s, the first automatic donut machine was invented. And America, being America, fell in love with it. Donut shops opened everywhere, display cases filled with golden rings. People didn't just eat donuts, they lived them. By the 1950s. Donuts had become part of American pop culture. Breakfast for cops, fuel for cartoons, a snack in movies, a punchline in ads. What started as a simple trick to bake more evenly had become a national symbol of joy, of lazy sweetness, of sugar-fueled living. The end or the beginning of a lifelong craving. Next time you hold a donut, look at it. A simple pastry with a hole in the middle. You might think it's nothing special, but behind that hole there's a 16-year-old kid on a ship with an empty stomach who once said, let's take the middle out. Maybe it'll turn out better, and maybe that's exactly how the world changes.
If you're curious to know where the first ones came from, subscribe to our channel.